everyone. Thanks for watching this documentary of our experience climbing to the top of Mount LeConte. Listen, we've made this documentary, but listen, we're just two ordinary guys making extraordinary lifestyle changes, which include breathwork practices such as Wim Hof and SOMA Breath and various pranayama techniques. In addition, we're also learning how to listen to our bodies, our mind and our body rather, by challenging ourselves to cold and heat exposure, while also learning about how nutrition positively influences our bodies individually. Today, the race is not against anyone else in our life but ourselves. And so this video is our first shirtless cold exposure hike up to the top of Mount LeConte in the Smoky Mountains just south of Gatlinburg, Tennessee on December 4th, 2022. We climbed to an elevation of about 6,700 feet. The view was remarkable, and the lowest temperature that we were exposed to was 36 degrees Fahrenheit, although I'm gonna have to say that the wind made it a whole lot more chilly. It dawned on me actually on our return home that we had not actually explained the Wim Hof method for those of you who are new to breath work. Here's a quick tutorial on how to do the Wim Hof technique, being dubbed now as Hoffen by some of the leading research universities that continue to do research into the Wim Hof method. Hoffen is done by taking 30 to 40 quick breaths, deep in, easy out, with no pause, followed by a breath hold at the exhale of your last breath beyond the comfort zone, holding beyond the comfort zone rather. The number of rounds that you complete is entirely up to you, and if you'd like to know more about the Wim Hof method, Wim Hof has a very educational program online that teaches the Wim Hof fundamentals. And so too does Niraj with the SOMA Breath techniques. So if you haven't already familiarized yourself with Wim Hof, SOMA Breath, and various pranayama techniques, I strongly, strongly urge you to do so, as it has completely enhanced everything that I've ever known and changed my life. This video, it documents our experience climbing shirtless to the top, exposing ourselves to the cold 36-degree weather, and I infuse it also with a few thoughts that came to me as I reflected on my own personal journey of climbing the mountain of life this past year. But first, here's a short blooper moment as Brett and I practice the breath of fire, a heat-generating pranayama technique. I hope you enjoy.
Please demonstrate what it is that just happened here. We're trying to do breath of fire. So here we go. All right, we're gonna do this again.
Okay.
Right. This is just a blooper moment. That's all it is.
Yeah.
All right. So breath of fire. Here we go.
We're not doing so good.
Okay. All right. So, all right. We're doing this for real. All right. Breath of fire. Take 3.
Take 3.
Yeah.
I got us in it.
Yep.
All right. This is our first thing. Wait, have you ever done this before?
No.
Me either. So this is a first for both of us.
Yeah.
All right, my name's Ken Caselden.
And I'm Bret Maynard.
And we are here in beautiful, I don't know what small town we're in, but we're just west of Gatlinburg at a cabin called Mountains for Miles. If you are ever on Airbnb and check this place out, it is amazing. The view is fantastic, both to the west and to the east. You get the sunrise, you get the sunset. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
And we are here actually doing some training for ourselves and the element of cold therapy or cold exposure. We've been practicing Wim Hof Wim Hof practices for some time now, and here we are. So we are actually on our way to travel up Alum Cave Trail to Mount LeConte, and you want to tell them how we're going to do it?
Yeah, we're gonna head up the trail. Start out with some clothing on, and we're gonna eventually take our shirts off and expose ourselves to the cold elements and see how far we can make it.
That's right. So we're doing this shirtless,
Yes.
just like Wim Hof.
Yeah.
We might not have a snow-capped mountain that we're doing this on, but we are climbing up to 6,500 feet. The weather's supposed to be in the 30s, so we're really looking forward to this. But we're doing this little documentary because a lot of people think that, well, we're crazy, right? I mean, let's just think. Let's talk for a minute about, like, what are some of the things that you've heard when you tell people that you're doing this sort of thing?
Oh, gracious. I can't stand the cold. I never do this.
Right. You're crazy.
Yeah.
I hate the cold.
Yeah, I hate
Right?
the cold. I can't. I don't even like walking outside in the cold without a coat. You know, I can't imagine getting in a tub of ice water.
You know, I of all those things, I think the number one thing is the words "I can't."
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were talking about it on the way up here, or the way down here from where we're from, and we were talking about how, you know, in our as we get older, I was going to tell them how old you are. the older we get, how life doesn't necessarily get easier. We just get better at doing what's hard.
Yep.
And life is hard and life is stressful, and we might not be chased by saber-toothed tigers and enduring harsh winters, but deadlines at work and financial limitations and pressures from family and friends or whatever, the
Relationships.
relationships, traffic jams, whatever it is, like that's stress. And that stress on our body, in our mind, our brain and our body doesn't know the difference between whether or not it's a saber-tooth tiger or whether or not, you know, we're trying to figure out life.
Yeah.
You know, and so this is a really excellent way. Obviously, the Wim Hof movement has been greatly popularized in the last couple of years, or maybe longer than that. For us, it's been for me 6 months.
Right.
You know,
I started March of last year.
Yeah.
Or, you know, this year. I mean.
yeah. So here we are, about the same amount of time that we've been doing some breath work. But the cold exposure piece is really just meant to face the elements. The words, going back to "I can't," is it's not like we're just diving right into the cold, right? There's prep to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
This morning we started off, for instance, with yoga.
Yep.
What was that like for you?
Oh my gosh. It's my first time doing most of what we did this morning, so I was quite entertained with myself, to say the least. Yes.
Entertained. Obviously there's various levels of yoga and whatnot, and I guess I picked one that was a little more intermediate.
Just a little more advanced for Bret Maynard here. My 57-year-old body couldn't keep up with Ken.
And, the whole purpose is to warm the body up and get the blood flow going. We followed that up with some breath work, one style. I don't remember what it was called, but we ended up on doing some Wim Hof, and we changed it up a little bit this time.
We did. We changed it up, and we did our 40 breaths, and then we held our breath for 1 minute, and then incrementally increased our breath holds to 4 minutes.
Yeah. So each round we added a minute. And I think that's really cool that we did that, because I think some people practice their breath work in such this dogmatic kind of way, like they have to do it this certain way. You know, You see the Wim Hof YouTube videos, and I stayed in the cold water for 20 minutes. So what? So what? I'll hold my breath for so what? It's not about that. It's about learning to listen to your body, and that's really the point here. Is that we're not doing this because we're doing some sort of self-fulfilling, ego work here. We're doing this because we're learning how to listen to ourselves. We're learning how to listen to our bodies. We're learning how to listen to our minds, and we want to share this message. We want to share this.
Yeah, we want to build. I feel like we're building resilience. We're learning what we're capable of.
I love that word. That we're building resilience. Heck, just doing this video right now, we're stepping out of our comfort zone.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. This is
Neither
not
one of us
something.
have done this,
Not
right?
this is all of this is just we're older men that we're still pushing the limits. We might not be, in some major sports arena, with a big audience, but we're learning how to push the limits here, even within ourselves. And today the race isn't against anybody else but ourselves.
We're proving what we're capable of, what we can push our bodies to do.
Yeah. So, if you're watching this, we're going to head on the road. We're about 30 minutes away from Alum Cave Trail, and stay tuned. We're gonna head to the trailhead.
Yeah.
Right?
Hey.
Here we go.
Sounds good. Let's do it.
So we thought we'd talk a little bit about intention setting. Funny story, when we got in the truck, it's 39 degrees, and immediately we thought, turn on the heat. Like, where's the seat warmer? I'm freezing. And it got me thinking about how many people even come here to beautiful Gatlinburg area and might not even go for a walk or go for a hike because they say things like it's too cold.
Right.
Or they're going to get real bundled up, and here we are, about to take our shirts off and climb up to Mount LeConte. And I thought that it was a really great opportunity for us to talk about intention, because the difference between those who say they can and can't, not that the difference is, but those who say they can and those who say they can't are 100% correct. And
Absolutely.
And when we get out into the cold elements and we say I can't do that, you're right, you can't. But the intention setting for us is that we're about to expose ourselves to cold elements here because we say we can. We're going to overcome this, and we've already been speaking up to one another and thinking about this even days before we got here. And so I thought we'd talk a little bit about intention setting for us individually. Why are we doing this? What's an intention? Like, what's your intention behind this today?
Well, we've never done this. We've done some cold exposure for quite a while now at breath work, and we found that it has really, we've garnered a lot of strength and endurance. We've learned what we can tolerate, and we want to try something that most people would consider more extreme than even what we have done. Personally, I started this journey because I'm a 57-year-old man who's been an athlete my whole life, and as most runners, I've been struggled with injuries over the years, and as I got older, I found those injuries to be more frequent. I also was experiencing some issues with my gut and so forth, and so I got into breath work and cold plunges and cold exposure because of the proven health benefits. It helps with healing. It helps reduce inflammation. And since doing these cold exposures, the cold plunges that we've done, I have found that my recovery time is quicker. I feel better. My anxiety is less. When I get in the water, the cold water, it's shocking. and that just excites me, and you know, it challenges me, but within seconds I become comfortable with it, and once those few seconds are gone and I'm doing my breathing, I find that I can just relax and I'm at ease, and it has helped me to deal with stress in my life. I've always had this anxiety, and when I go into meetings with people, you know, it used to cause my heart just to pound anytime I had to speak in those situations. And I find now that I deal with that so much better.
Just like I said earlier,
yeah.
Things don't get easier. We just get better at doing hard.
Exactly. And that's what it has really done for me, is it's empowered me to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
That's powerful.
Yeah,
that's real powerful.
But you know, and I know you and I have talked a good bit about you know, our reasons for getting started, but I'd love to hear, you know, you reaffirm that.
Yeah, well, I mean, the long story short for me is that a year ago, actually this weekend, well, let's put it this way: my resting heart rate was 110. I'd lost 35 pounds. I couldn't stand loud noises. I struggled with anxiety every moment of my life. I barely slept at night, and my body was in complete disarray and chaos. And I was hiding all of that under the facade of having my, you know, life in control and being a mental health therapist and knowing all the right things to think and all the right things to do. And the point is, I do know the right things to think and the right things to do, but my body was in overload. And with this becoming part of a major lifestyle shift in my life in the last year, cold exposure and breath work has eliminated anxiety out of my life. Eliminated depression. I don't have, I'm 42 years old, and I've thought that I've struggled with it all my whole life, but I don't experience it anymore. It just doesn't, it's not even a thing. And that's an old life to me. And so the intention behind this is really twofold. Why are we doing this today? For me, first and foremost, it's a celebration. It's a celebration for all that work that I've done in the past year. That's included, a major part of that work has been cold exposure and heat exposure and breath work and breath retentions and all that stuff. And then another intention here is just as I said in the earlier part of the video, is that I have struggled with self-limiting thoughts and behaviors my whole life, and this is a really healthy way for those of you who also struggle with the I can'ts and I'm too busy's and the self-limiting thoughts, is that this is a really excellent way to, in a non-threatening way, prove to yourself you can do the thing you say you can't do.
Amen.
And that's the intention for me today. I know it's going to be cold. The higher we go, the colder it's going to be. I expect it to be in the, you know, I'd hope it's in the upper 20s, to be honest with you. It's probably going to be in the low 30s. We're going to be cold. We're going to shiver, but we're going to push through. And that's my intention setting that I'm doing right now as we drive here, is knowing I can do this and seeing all the way through to the end where we come back down and we celebrate and feel great and feel alive. And then we end this off and cap it off with a cold plunge back at the cabin. All right, so here we go. So one really effective way to generate heat in your body, as we're going to need to do here in just a few minutes, is to practice the breath of fire. Now, that's not a Wim Hof technique, I know, but it's another breathing technique that we're going to add to this experience. Breath of fire is done by forcefully exhaling rapidly, about 25 repetitions. So while you exhale, you actually tuck your belly in. So it's more like a you're not really concentrating as much on the inhale as much as you're concentrating on the exhale. And you do that in a much more rapid, at your own pace. My pace is more of a and every time I exhale, I'm tucking my belly in. That is followed by breath in, at which point we do a brief hold at the inhale, and we squeeze our pelvic floor or mula bandha, however which you want to refer to it, the muscles that you use to hold your pee. And we'll hold that for so many seconds, typically about 15. And then we will release that, exhaling slowly, and hold the breath on the exhale for an amount of time. And then we'll breathe in again, squeeze again. But on the second time, what I typically do is the first round that I squeeze just the mula bandha. But then the second round, I squeeze the mula bandha and I squeeze my upper regions. So my shoulders, my neck, my pecs. And that really creates this surge of energy that comes up the spinal cord, up your core, warms your body. It produces an energy that generates that heat very quickly, and typically do about 3 rounds of that.
This trail is amazing. You know, even if you don't do a cold exposure kind of thing, everyone needs to be out in nature at some point in their life.
Absolutely.
The sound of the water is, for me personally, it's primal.
Yeah.
There's something inside that roars, that comes alive, that I can't even describe, that I can't even create unless I'm here, listening to the sound, seeing the green vegetation. Even though it's the beginning of December, just the element of being outdoors is healing. It's invigorating. We are just under a mile into this. We're gonna do a light stretch, a light breath routine, and it's off with the clothes. Temperature's just over 40. But that's steadily going to decline because the top of Mount LeConte is supposed to be roughly about 30. So here we go.
I've learned that facing my most terrifying fear led me to realizing I wasn't afraid at all. I just didn't know how much love I had to give myself. I've learned that facing my fear uncovered fears under the fear. The fear of dying alone, living a meaningless life, dying and it's lights out. And ultimately, my worst fear, that I'll die with regret, wishing I'd lived the life I felt called to live from the beginning, and being greeted by the one and every other spirit I've ever encountered along my journey, saying, "Damn it, we counted on you." I've learned that letting go of expectations and practicing gratitude are keys to being at peace with where you are in life. And so I'm learning to trust the process. I've learned that Going back to the basics of sleeping well and exercising and reaching out to people you can trust is often the first step in finding peace and healing. And only then do answers come.
Say that again.
It's so beautiful walking along this trail, looking down at your feet and seeing water running along the trail, climbing this ascent, challenging our breath, our bodies. It's not quite as cool as we hoped it to be, but it's a great day, and God is good.
Amen.
I've learned that creating a balanced schedule and finding various forms of healthy relaxation is the key to prioritizing stress management so that I can be in a better place to live life on life's terms. I've learned that sometimes your desires come true when you stop trying so hard to make them happen. Answers come when you stop forcing them, because the natural flow of life has an energy of its own. I've learned that God, universe, flow of life, creator, spirit, however or whatever you want to call the obvious energy above our conscious understanding, is for us, not against us. But we are often in the way. I've learned my mantra number 1. I'm learning to listen to myself. I've learned that feeling alone is an imprint from experiences of hurts and harms from the past, but we are never alone. Only distant from those we are truly meant to be connected with in this life. I've learned my mantra number 2. Move at the pace of guidance. I've learned that forgiveness is not for anyone. It's for only one. And that is me. Or you. Reconciliation can come when the other party puts in his or her work into learning and healing as well. I've learned that making peace with the past allows the present to be embraced and the future to be freed. I've learned that safety and security are pillars of creativity and connection. I've learned Ubuntu, that people become people because of people. So choose your people wisely. Unless you let go of those who do not respect you, who don't support your dreams, who hold you back, who silence your story and your wisdom, you will always end up attracting and allowing toxic people into your life. I've learned that sometimes their journey is not your journey, and the result is they'll never understand. I've learned that you must prioritize your well-being. Your relationship with yourself is the most important one. It's like being on an airplane. Put your mask on first. I've learned that what people think of you is 1, none of your business, and 2, not as effective as what you think of yourself when it comes to living your best life. I've learned that there is truly a season for everything, and time truly does heal all seasons. I've learned that no one is responsible for your happiness. Your happiness is your personal responsibility. I've learned don't compare yourself to others. Their journey and your journey are not the same journey. And you have no idea how their journey is manifesting someone else's future. I've learned that when you invest in yourself, the profits gained pay dividends that spread into people that also want to invest in you. I've learned that learning how to truly love and respect yourself requires time spent alone, unattached, and uncertain, while focusing on what it is that you truly want in your life. I've learned that carrying the weight of unpleasant memories, unhelpful belief patterns, and unhealthy habits is like sailing in the vast ocean, facing the most beautiful sunrise with the wind to your back, but being anchored to a mountain of guilt, doubt, anger, discouragement, and despair. I've learned that flowers grow on the pathway to hell. The choice is yours to let them lure you into its depths, or follow the glimmers and scents of beauty back home to where you belong. I've learned that my best may never be my 100%, but my 100% is always my best. I've learned that success is relative, and no one determines that relativity but you. I've learned that life doesn't get easier, but I'm getting better at doing hard things. That while insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results, in order to live like I've never lived, I have to start living like I've never lived. I've learned that beyond all of the confusion and internal chatter, when you create a pause in life, you find the clarity to make the right choices. I've learned the value of knowing that those who say they can and those who say they can't are 100% correct. And today, I can say I will never underestimate myself again. I've learned that you cannot live a fulfilling life if you let your past control you. But we are made for so much more. I've learned that we all have an inner strength that lets us know just how strong we are when we have to be that strong. I've learned that we often overestimate what we can do in a day or week and underestimate what we can do in a year. And I personally have learned that I am worthy of experiencing a fulfilling life, to love and be loved the way I am created, to be freely me. And so it is with you.
Yes.
Badass.
We did it.
We did it. Mount LeConte.
6,500 feet.
Yeah.
Clearly we made it through the hike, and clearly we're in a hot tub right now. So,
Amen to that.
some final thoughts, man. What do you think?
Very challenging day, but very fulfilling and enriching day of amazing beauty, challenges to our physical body and our mental fortitude. I don't know. Wow. We saw so many beautiful sights, and it was a very challenging hike, both just climbing that to Mount LeConte, but we did 90 some odd % of it with in our shorts.
Yeah, well, it's 11 and a half miles according to All Trails, and
Yep.
we did the first mile clothed, and then we stretched, did some breathing, warmed up, and did the rest of it. So more than 99% of it.
Yeah.
Shirtless, in shorts. Admittedly, the temperature was like
in the low 40s, and then it dropped below 30 about halfway up and stayed a consistent 36. And I second what he said about just some amazing views. And it is a hard trail. I mean, All Trails has it rated as difficult for a reason.
Yep.
And what made it even more that was the fact we were doing it, against the cold elements, which all in all went really, really well. And something came to me as sort of a closing for me on this is the idea that, many of us might have heard this in school or, growing up, that we can be anything we want to be, anything that we set our mind to. I personally don't necessarily believe that. I think we can set our mind to things, and sometimes it's just not our time, and it's not meant for. But I can, with 100% certainty, back up the belief that though we might not be able to do everything that we set our mind to, we can always do more than what we believe we can.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
Whether it's cold exposure or it's dealing with, the pain of the soreness of a hike, or when you're putting yourself in a stressful situation, but in a neutral and positive state, you're building resilience toward being able to handle stress when it's not so positive in your life. And so, as evidenced by what we said earlier in this video, doing this kind of practice, cold exposure and breath work, is hands down reducing our stress. It's not reducing the stressors, but it's definitely reducing the stress response. So,
one thing I would like to add is that although we do cold exposure regularly, and we've done prep work for this trip up that mountain, but there were still challenges with the cold. Even though the temperature wasn't quite as cold to begin with as we had hoped or anticipated that it would be, we were challenged to a point where your hands start hurting, aching, the interesting thing though is as we hiked, that it was like an ebb and flow kind of.
it went away.
Yeah, it went away.
Yeah, at one point my fingers felt like they were stinging on fire, like when it's too cold, and then 20 minutes later, take
warm.
deep breathing and walking at a rhythm like Wim Hof, it went away.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. And we experienced tremors, where our bodies were shaking, our lips were quivering. I mean, that kind of thing was happening. And even the comment was made, you made the comment about, how many moms out there are saying, you can't go outside because you'll catch a cold.
Yeah.
You don't get cold because you're in cold. You get cold because you get exposed to bacteria and viruses.
And your immune system isn't what it ought to be.
Right.
And that's one of the key reasons we do the cold exposure and the breath work, is to boost our immune systems and make us stronger, more resilient, and healthy.
Yep. Boost of dopamine, boost of testosterone, boost of neurotransmitters to make us feel better, overall boost in our immunity. So if you're not already convinced to do cold exposure, I guess wait for more videos until you get convinced, because this is hands down the best thing that I've found in my 42 years and his 57.
Absolutely.
And we've been around. We've done a lot of different things to try to beat life and work with the ebb and flow of life. And this, hands down, is a great practice. So hope you enjoy the video.
Yeah, the only other thing I have to say is that I've always considered myself to be a pretty healthy guy and very physically active, but I still, got sick occasionally and got run down. And I have to say that with the cold exposure and the breath work, that is minimized drastically. I sometimes will get symptoms of feeling like I'm trying to come down with something, and all I do is boost my breathing, do more rounds, do it more frequently, not just one session in a day, and invariably I have not gotten sick.
Yep.
So I'm thrilled to death with the results, and this is just another testament to that strength and determination that I think cold plunges and breathing has given us.
Yeah, yeah. And we opted to go into a hot tub. Obviously, it's steamy. The video, footage might look a little foggy here right now, but right above us is another deck, and we have a trough with water, and it's plenty cold, which we will most definitely dip into tomorrow first thing in the morning.
Absolutely.
Before we head out of here, because that's part of our daily practice. Daily, if not every other day, are cold plunges, and then breath work is every day. And here's one last thing I want to just throw out there, which is if you want to live like no one else, you have to live like no one else.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Right?
Love that.
So this is our video to invite you to start living like no one else.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Mount LeConte.
Mount LeConte.
Got it.